Hey, Weldon Long, man, we got to see that yesterday. That was huge, man.
I told you
Really
that guy's
inspiring
amazing, right?
stuff. Yeah, that was awesome, man. I was really like the correlation in I mean, what got to me with earning freedom was like kind of the same thing that hit home with there was just so many similarities that it was the information resonated very, very effectively.
Do you want to
So
give a message to Weldon Long? I'll send it to him.
man, I just seeing that somebody can go through the same things that I've gone through at the same point in their lives as far as the age goes, and be able to come out on the other side so successfully was hugely inspiring.
He's
So that's
incredibly successful and he's inspiring to a lot of people, as is
yeah,
evidenced by his client base. I mean, it's major corporations hire him to come and train their team. And I use Weldon's story a lot to teach people in jail and prison. And if you look through the rest of the courses in the program, you're going to see a lot of stories like that are
yeah.
guys that are just like us, guys that were in jail or prison, and they came out successfully.
Hey, I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to ask you just a couple questions about what with the judge letters, communicating that. I've been preparing for that a lot of times, but I keep
The judge letters
reworking it
from you or from character reference letters?
from myself.
Okay.
So what in length? One of my good friends in San Diego, actually, he's a criminal defense attorney for the federal system. He's a federal defender,
What's his
and
name?
his name's Samuel Eilers.
I don't know him. I know I don't live too far from there. I live in Orange County.
Yeah.
But
So
go
he
ahead.
actually just took a job to go to Alaska. So he just moved to the federal defender's office in Anchorage last
Uh-huh.
month. But we grew up together. I was a groomsman in his wedding like a month before I got arrested. So
Oh man.
when I called him collect from Fort Lauderdale to tell him I was in jail on federal charges, he was like, "What the?" He was blown away. Like, just it was a surprise not only to me. Like, I had left Costa Rica about 2 years before I got indicted. So I had left the criminal activity long before they came knocking on my door to collect on my debt to society. So
Are
it
you are
was
you comfortable telling me what kind of crime you're facing?
yeah, it's international money laundering, wire fraud, and mail fraud. A
And
conspiracy to commit mail fraud.
and what is the amount of alleged loss?
It's 3.6 million. They hit it just over the 3.5 mark, so it's like an 18-point enhancement.
Are they holding you in custody because you were arrested overseas? Is that
I
why they
wasn't
won't let you a
actually
bond?
No, I wasn't actually arrested overseas. I was arrested in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. They held me on bond because of my connections overseas. My wife's Costa Rican, and I had,
Pura vida.
yeah, Puerto Vida. I had some friends that were pretty mobile. Like, they had saw that I'd flown private on several occasions, and they just anticipated that if they let me out on bond, I might be a flight risk.
Well, there's an upside to that, and that's that all this time that you're doing right now is counting. Number
Yeah,
one. Number two, it's giving you time to focus. If you were free, I can tell you from experience, a lot of the guys who are free feel as though they're serving time, but
absolutely.
but the time's not counting. So
Right.
you're a lot closer to home, and
Yep.
that's great. And you also have an opportunity to really reflect in ways that you probably wouldn't have had you been home.
Yeah. One of the things that I really can appreciate is what I've been able to accomplish with the time. Like, just like you said, I mean, a lot of these guys that are out on bond right now, they're still going through the stresses. It's still hanging over their head, but they're not accomplishing anything in the way of getting through it. So
Instead of losing 100 pounds like you did, they're gaining 100 pounds. They're high all the time. They're
yeah.
stressed out. They
Yep.
can't get a job because they don't know what's going to happen to them. And so
Yeah.
it's very tough.
Yep.
I don't tell people one way or the other, but I was incarcerated for pretrial for a year. And, I mean, it gave me a chance to recalibrate my life. And I think that's what you've done as well. And you look pretty young, Cole. How old are you?
I'm 35 now.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and so you said that you had some questions for me about writing letters. Tell me what those questions are so I can
Do.
answer them.
Well, what do you think about, like, I wanna touch on the family history, but I also don't. I don't want it to I don't want to implement anything that could be construed as an excuse. So like I I grew up without a father figure. My father actually spent time in federal prison for bank robbery, like throughout my entire childhood.
So I think that's definitely should be in your story.
Okay.
Personally, I
And
think
I
that you
do.
should definitely be thinking about all of these concepts.
Okay.
I have another book. I'm trying to think which one it is because I wrote a lot of books
Yeah.
about this kind of concept. Is it? It's not 10 steps. I'm going to look for it in my catalog
Okay.
of books, and I'll set. The thing is, I don't know if I'm allowed to send you anything. I'll send it to Mr.
I can
Johnson.
order it. I don't mind ordering the book either. What
Have
about
your wife reach out to me, and I'll find the right one.
Okay. Awesome.
Because
What
I want you to think about this before you go. But if you see, like, I would definitely use this story, which you just described to me.
Okay.
But I would be doing it in terms of, just like I said, values, goals, attitude, right? You've got to tell this judge, help him understand how you got here. So start by talking about, we have a course called Preparing for Sentencing that you ought to look at. But it's very specific about this subject. And that would be starting off. In fact, that's the one that you should get. You should have your wife go to Prison Professors, look at the store and say Preparing for Sentencing, because it's got templates in there of people that have done this. But let me just walk you through what it means. If I'm a judge, I want to hear that you've really thought about this, Cole, how you got here. So with regard to this, I'm just going to throw it there. Your Honor, I've made terrible decisions. I know that I've influenced the entire commerce of the United States, and I'm deeply remorseful for what I have done. And what I'm trying to do is really understand, how did my life go so wrong? And as I think back on that, I have to go all the way back in my history. And I grew up really, and I'm not using this as, don't mistake what I'm saying as an excuse, but rather an explanation for how I got here. You see, my father was taken out of our family and put in prison when I was 4 or 9. And he served time for bank robbery. And so that influenced what I thought. And I've read about you, Your Honor. I know that you come from a very distinguished background, and I have no doubt that you had great positive role models in your life. And that's what shaped you to really have an understanding of the Constitution and laws and order. And I have no doubt that your children know that. But I didn't have that. And it's not an excuse. It just shaped my time through high school. It shaped my mind through adolescence, through early adulthood. And I was drawn to this life, not even recognizing that I was hurting people. Those are real things. So it shows that you've really introspected and thought about it.
Okay. That's great advice. Would you mind if I shared with you kind of like the intro to?
Not at all, as long as we have time. Can everybody hear us?
They can hear you, but not me so much.
Okay.
They're all kind of doing their own thing. And this is just like kind of like the way that I want to open it up in respects to recognizing the victim effect. Mm-hmm. So it's, I feel compelled to start by acknowledging why I'm here. I made a lot of really bad decisions, both morally and practically. Decisions that have no doubt caused distrust, pain, and embarrassment to the victims of the selfishly committed crimes, to their families, and to the general public as well. I realize it was far more than just money I stole from the victims. Hiding behind a telephone, I stole their sense of security, pride, and self-worth, leaving them feeling helpless, ashamed, and broken. I was a liar, a thief, and a coward, motivated by my own insecure need to appear successful in the eyes of people I foolishly looked up to. And then I kind of want to go into my upbringing from there.
That's where I would do it. And I would say, and now as I think about this, Your Honor, and the pain that I've caused, I wanted to get better. And to get better, I first needed to kind of understand, why am I different? How did I get here? What shaped my mindset? What am I doing to improve? And that's how you show you've changed. That's what a judge is going to respect, because he doesn't just want to hear, I'm sorry. He doesn't want to just hear that. He doesn't want to hear, I'm just going to miss my kids.
Yeah.
He wants to hear that you've done the hard work. And that's what's coming, why I'm always impressed with you're the first one to come up here and talk, right? Use this as an opportunity to just keep working it, And that's how we get better.
All right. Hey, thank you again, man. You're a huge inspiration to all of us. And I can tell sort of like yesterday, it was interesting to see how many people came to interact, and I can tell that it's having a positive effect on everybody in here. So
that's great. Well, I got to tell Dorian that I've got more courses I'm developing that are a little different. They're more specific. They're like business related and things of that sort. But, I hope that to give you guys a lot of tools that will help you overcome. And anyway, I want to make sure I send this out to Weldon Long. He'll like it.
I don't think that there's anybody that, I read a lot. Like I said, working in the library and stuff. I spend the vast majority of my free time just trying to read stuff that I feel like might improve my mindset. So there was nothing that I read that resonated with me as much as Earning Freedom. And I've recommended it to everybody I've come in contact with in here since that. And there was times even when the library, I have downtime and I just pick it up, sit in the corner and read it. Do
you have the other books? You got the other books now, right? Do you have like Success After Prison and stuff?
I've read Success After Prison. That was also in the library.
So that shows kind of how those decisions in jail relate. Did you read One Day, Prison, My 1344th Day?
No.
So that helps me. That's what I wrote to talk about how do I get through a single day. So I wrote all these things together because you know what? That's a good thing to talk about later in today, as I want to talk about what shaped the reasons for the different books that I wrote. What was going through my mind? They probably don't have Inside Life Behind Bars in America there, do they?
I don't think so.
That's this book. Hold on a second. You haven't ever seen this book, have you?
Oh no, yeah. If you wrote it, they don't have. Yeah, okay. I'll definitely. I'll ask them to order that.
That's a different book. That's a book about what it was like going in with 45 years and how did I evolve. Well, Earning Freedom's like that too, but Earning Freedom is all about me. This is probably 60%, 70% about other people and what I experienced and learning from other people in prison. And what did they do? And how did I react to it? Because that's part of getting through the journey. You got to learn how to react and interact in that kind of an environment and grow, even though it's so negative.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a daily challenge. Like, even, without getting, I guess it's kind of crossing the line. I'm personal, but just, it's challenging. Yesterday
because there's negativity and that's my job to try and change that negativity.
I had a conversation yesterday with my son, and I haven't seen him since he was 3 years old. When my father went to prison, I was 3. When I got locked up, my son was sleeping in the other room, and I couldn't wake him up. But he was 3 years old, when I went away. So I talked to him yesterday, and just the stuff that he's saying, his conversation skills improving and stuff. It just hit me so hard, and I went upstairs and just. I cried so hard I burst a blood vessel in between my eyes.
I get it, bro. It's not easy, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be easy when you come home and you start to rebuild your career. But look at Weldon, right? Yeah, Weldon. No,
that was huge because that's what I wanted to ask you too. But Weldon kind of answered a lot of those questions for me yesterday. Is what advice, like coming out of this white collar stigma of now I'm an international money launderer. I'm a thief. I'm fraud. All these things that are attached to my name. When people Google me, it's like it's a huge overcoming.
But that's not what you are, right? That's what you are.
It's the perception. It's the labels.
Yeah, but what you're going to be is the person who overcame that, and that's inspiring. That's what people will see. So you start writing that new narrative of your life right now. And that's what makes all the difference.
All right. You're awesome, man. Thanks again.